Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Gary with the Get Some podcast. And my guest this week is...
This motherfucker Gary.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Gary Owen with the Get Some podcast. We'll start off with my schedule. This weekend, I'm in Chicago, Illinois at the Schaumburg Improv, June 14th through the 16th. And we just, Saturday sold out already. We just added a 4 o'clock show on Saturday. So there's still a few left for Friday. Sunday's almost gone. Probably going to add a second show Sunday, I'm guessing. But, yeah, so basically I got a 4 o'clock show Saturday on the 15th left. And you got the 14th and the 16th. Next weekend, June 21st through the 23rd, I'm in Oklahoma City at Bricktown Comedy Club. And I like Oklahoma City, man. That's a cool little city. And then June 28th through the 30th, I'm in Miami, Florida at the Improv down there. And then we'll just go into July. July 5th through the 7th, I'm in Austin, Texas, Cap City Comedy Club. And then July 12th and 13th, I'm in Buffalo, New York at a casino up there in Niagara Falls, the Bears Den, something like that. And then July 27th, I'm in Vegas at the Palms, Pearl Theater inside the Palms. So that's become like a tradition. Every July for the last 6 years, minus COVID, I've been in Vegas in July at the Palms. So it's been a nice little tradition every year. So looking forward to it. Last year we sold it out, so tickets are going good. So we should sell it out again. And it's always a fun weekend because my birthday is July 26th, so we make it like a 2-day event. So, yeah, that's where I'm at in June and July. Last weekend, I was in Birmingham, Alabama. Did anything happen in Birmingham? I'm trying to think. I thought there was a story I wanted to tell, but I should have put it down in my notes, but I guess I forgot. So, last week I had Mailman on the show. And so I haven't talked to you guys since I left Omaha, Des Moines, and Kansas City. So I had something interesting happen in I believe it was Omaha or Des Moines, one of them. But it was Des Moines. These two gentlemen and a young lady came up, and they said they've seen me just about every time I come to Des Moines. And I guess one of the gentlemen, his wife passed away last year, and I was like her favorite comic. So the wife that passed away, she was the one that introduced her husband and then this other couple to me and my stand-up. And they came and they showed me a picture of her with me that we took a couple years ago. And they had bought my shirt because I always sell merch shirts after my shows. So they had bought merch in the past. And it just was it was kind of a cool thing when you bond with your fans like that to know what, and I'm sure other comedians means a lot to other people and stuff, but when you, as a fan of comedy and people that watch comedy, for some reason, some people just resonate with certain comedians and they will go see them. I got people that'll go see me if I'm within 100 miles of their city, they'll go. And they got those loyal fans that you're just their guy. And every time I get fans like that, I get a little, I don't want to say uneasy, but I'm like, man, I hope I'm telling new jokes. Because if you see me, there's some people that literally will see me 3-4 times in a year. And I'm always wondering, like, aren't they sick of hearing this? Because, you can't write a new joke every week that's solid like that. You could try stuff out, but if you're coming to see people like that, I'm like, I always get like kind of weirded out. Like, I hope they're going back telling people, man, he's always got new stuff. I think I take most pride in that as a stand-up is when people come to me like, man, I saw you last year. You got all new stuff. That to me is the biggest compliment I can get, as a comedian. But just the fact that this couple came up and what was cool was like the picture with the wife, she had one of my merch shirts on. So that means she's just like diehard loyal. The fact that you're gonna do the meet and greet, buy the merch, got tickets, like those fans just mean so much to me. So to the couple and the gentleman whose wife passed away in Iowa that came to see me last week, just thanks for your continued support. Thanks for coming to see me, and really thank your wife who introduced you guys to me, and it was just a cool experience. And then it was funny because I did Omaha on a Wednesday and I did Des Moines on a Thursday, and then I did Kansas City for the weekend. And I had one person either in Des Moines or Iowa, and then I had another one or two in Kansas City, people that came in wheelchairs. And no, the Kansas City one, okay, the one in Des Moines, the lady was in a wheelchair, and in Kansas City there was a guy in a wheelchair. So the guy in Kansas City, when he came, he had a Kansas City hat. And when I do my meet and greets, people come up on the stage and take a picture with me. Well, obviously in a wheelchair, I'll come down. So he waited till the very end. I got a picture with this guy. And as we were talking, I was like, oh, Kansas City, man, we got a nice little rivalry. He goes, yeah, I know. And he started bagging on Joe Burrow. I started bagging on Mahomes and Kelsey, and we just was giving each other shit. And it was just like, it was such a cool bonding moment between two people. Like, I didn't look at him like he was in a wheelchair or he was disabled. He didn't look at me like in awe of me being Gary Owen. It was like a Chiefs fan and a Bengals fan giving each other shit, just back and forth. And it was real quick, probably 2 minutes. And then at the end, you pound, and all right, we'll see you guys week 2. We'll see you week 2. It was just a cool moment, man. And that's what I love about sports and how it bonds people. And then it hit me right. I'm looking at this guy that came to see me in a wheelchair, and he was like, I don't know what was wrong with him, but he missing a limb, things like that, and it was clearly he's had some health issues. And then the lady that came to see me in the wheelchair, I don't know if it was Omaha or Des Moines, and then the couple that comes whose wife passed away, and it just got me thinking about cancel culture. It got me thinking about people always are asking comedians, are we afraid to say certain things about certain people? And it just reiterated that, man, if something's wrong with you, or if something happened to me, if I end up missing a limb, I'm like, man, people better make fun of me. My friends better give me shit about it. They better call me peg leg or one arm or no teeth, whatever. And I think people that are going through stuff like that, they want you to acknowledge that they're different, but they don't want to be treated different. But they want to acknowledge, yeah, I see you're in a wheelchair. I see you're not going to beat me in a 100-yard dash. I see this is not going to happen. And it's okay to make fun of them as long as there's no malicious intent. And I think I just needed to see it and to talk shit to that guy in the wheelchair about the Chiefs and Bengals and things like that. And it was funny because I saw that guy laugh at him the whole show too, like where he was sitting in the disabled section, and I could see him out of the corner of my eye. And I don't know, but I'm pretty sure he's come to see me in the past. Because you do so many shows, and sometimes you're like, have I met this person? Have I seen this person? And I felt like I've seen him before, and he's come to my shows in the past. But it just reminded me, because I got in trouble a few years ago because I had a special needs joke about my cousin Tina, and I went through a lot of shit because I said the R word in one of my specials, and so many people got mad. But then I was like, but my cousin didn't get mad. And I go, even in my joke, there was no malicious intent. I wasn't making fun of them as far as like punching down with my material. It was really something that happened with my cousin and me, because if you hadn't heard the joke, basically the joke is I got a special needs cousin. Her name's Tina. We was at a family reunion. Tina got an STD. And we was all like, the whole family was like, it was the big secret. Tina got STD. Tina got STD. And I was like, Tina's having sex? I was like, that to me was the bigger like, whoa, Tina's having sex. I was so happy I was like, okay, she's living. And then I was like, well, who gave her the STD? And then I was like, because her dude was a special needs dude. That was her boyfriend. So I was like, he must have gave it to her because she was dating the same guy for a long time. And so I was like, oh. And then the joke is like, I was more like, oh my God, Tina's having sex. And then I said, how do they be talking smack to each other in the bedroom is the gist of the joke. But anyways, I think we're just getting to a point where cancel culture is about to go away, especially for comedians. I feel bad for athletes or politicians or somebody in corporate America that can't just say a dirty joke or a bad joke, and if it gets out, then they could lose their job. But comedians, I don't think we can lose endorsements, but I don't think we're losing jobs anymore. I think people are they're fed up. They really want to make the uncomfortable comfortable. And it's funny because people put personal agendas on comedians and their jokes. Like, if we say something and that is something you're going through, like we say something about a blind person and you're blind, you think, oh, he's making fun of me. No. I'm just making an observation about blind people, that some blind people do some funny stuff, or things happen to blind people that wouldn't happen to other people. There was an old stock joke about how does a blind guy, if a blind guy skydives, how does he know when to pull the cord? It's when the dog's leash gives way. It was such an old stock joke I heard in the beginning of my career, but I was like, that's a stock blind joke. That if you was to tell that nowadays, there's probably people that aren't blind that would get mad that you told a joke about a blind person. That's the funny part to me. Most of the times, it's not the people you're talking about. It's people that aren't those people that are trying to advocate for those people. It was like one time, Tracy Morgan had a show on Comedy Central. I can't remember what it was called. But I did it. This was like 20-some years ago. And I just remember when I got on the phone with the people at Comedy Central, I had an Asian joke. And I just remember the lady on the phone. It was so awkward because stand-ups, man, it's all about the delivery. You feed off the audience's energy. And for this particular show, it was an ensemble show. Tracy was hosting. He was bringing up like 3-4 comics. It was for 30 minutes on the show. And it was just like we had to submit our material written, and then they read it back to us, which is awkward in itself. And then I remember I was on the phone, and they're literally reading my jokes word for word back to me. And I was like, oh, this doesn't sound funny with them reading it to me. It had me second guessing my material. And then one lady goes, well, I see you got an Asian joke here, and I'm Asian. So, and I was on the phone like, what's that got to do with anything? It was like she was putting her own little personal agenda or personal, like, I don't know, what she thought was biases and putting it on me. And I was going, why'd you even tell me you were Asian? I didn't get that. Well, I just want you to know, I see you have an Asian joke, and I'm Asian. I'll never forget that phone call as long as I live. There was like 4 women on the phone with me talking, and the one girl had to make it a point to let me know that she's Asian. I was like, okay. Well, I mean, I don't know what you want me to do. Not do the joke? Whatever. So anyways, I'm glad. I think we're getting past that. I really do. I really like the direction stand-up's going right now. We're almost taking our power back from people now. I loved when I saw Dana White on Theo Von's podcast, and he had said Pelaton, and I love Peloton. I got one. I'm not trying to say people don't ride Pelotons, but Pelaton tried to tell Theo Von, don't say something about something, or they're not going to run ads on his podcast. They were pulling their ads off Theo Von's podcast because Theo Von said something that the head guy at Peloton didn't agree with. And Dana White goes, what? What? Oh, okay, a stationary bike company is trying to tell you what you're allowed to talk about on your podcast? He goes, I'm pulling Pelotons out of all UFC gyms. He pulled them. He took Pelotons out of all the UFC gyms and put in some other new bike. And I was like, that's a power move. But I was just like, I don't know. I love the fact that Dana White is like that. How he's like, nah, anything goes. So anyways, yeah, just a couple stories that happened to me this weekend. So These next few minutes are going to be very airline heavy. There's a couple airline stories I want to share. I don't know if you heard, there was a guy that left his wife at the airport because she went and got Starbucks. And I'm going to get in this story in a minute. And I was going to leave with that story, but then something happened to me yesterday when I was flying back from Birmingham, a couple days ago. When I was flying back from Birmingham, it was one of those days. Listen, if you fly as much as I do, there's going to be days where your flight's going to be delayed and you're going to be stuck at the airport. And this was one of those days. And I always say as a stand-up, I'd rather be stuck coming home than going to my show. Because if I'm going to the show, I might miss the show. So I'm trying to fly back home from Birmingham. And I left my hotel at 7:30 in the morning. My flight was at 9:30. Get to the airport. I get on the plane. Everything's going smooth. It's about 9:15. I'm in 3A. The guy in 4A is on his phone. And he's one of those guys that we can hear his whole conversation. He's just loud. I never understood that when people get on the plane and are talking in a regular-ass voice because that tube holds all the volume. And so everyone can hear his conversation. Flight attendant walks by. Sir, you have to turn on your phone, about to take off. I don't know if he acknowledged her with a hand wave or anything, but I know he didn't say anything back to her. So then he's on the phone still talking. The pilot gets on the loudspeaker, and this guy doesn't hear the pilot because he's talking so loud on the phone. The pilot says, we have a maintenance issue. We're going to be holding for a few minutes. So whatever. So the flight attendant never came back to say, hey, sir, hang up your phone. So he's still talking. Then the pilot gets on the speaker again and says, we're going to have to deplane. There's a maintenance issue bigger than we thought, and we don't know how long it's going to take, so we gotta figure this out. So this guy's still on the phone. He never registers what the pilot or the flight attendant has said so far over the loudspeaker. He sees everybody standing up, taking off their seatbelts and grabbing their bags, and he goes, now he hangs up. He goes, what's going on? And the guy next to him, keep in mind we're in Birmingham, maintenance issue. He goes, oh, fuck. He said the F-bomb at least 10 times. F this, this is why I don't fly, F-ing United, right? So now we're getting off, he's just cussing the whole time. If I had my kids, I would have said something. And there was kids on the plane. I'm like, dude, just calm down. Now we're getting off the plane. He looks at the flight attendant and goes, I'm going to miss my layover. Or no, I'm sorry. I'm going to miss my connection. And I was looking at him like, what's she going to do? She's a flight attendant. What's she going to do? So now he gets off the plane, and we don't know how long we're going to be delayed. And he's just pacing back and forth. Now he's on the phone. F-bomb. F this. Goddamn shit. It's just every curse word coming out of his mouth. He's just pacing back and forth. And Birmingham's not a big airport. Then the pilot comes off. He goes, all right, this is the update. The starter blew. This airport and this staff isn't equipped to fix it. So we're going to have to fly the starter in from Houston and the maintenance guys from Houston to fix the plane. It's going to be a couple hours. So I was just like, what are you going to do? I went to Starbucks, got a latte, got on my laptop, and I'm on my app. And this is only my pet peeve with airports. They won't just give you the exact time you're going to leave. It goes in 20-minute increments, at least with United. So it started, we're supposed to leave at 9:30. Then all of a sudden it went 10. Then it went 10:20, 10:40, 11, 11:20, 11:40. I was still at the airport when I'll never forget, it got to 12:20, and then it says 6 p.m. We're not leaving until 6. And I don't know where this guy's at this point. So now I leave the airport. I called an Uber, went downtown Birmingham. They had a cool little outdoor area by the football stadium there and the Topgolf. And I just, sat down, got some Mexican food, and just chilled out outside. It was a nice day out. And then I headed back to the airport. My flight was supposed to leave at 6. We ended up actually leaving at 7. So they switched my seats. So I went from 3A to when I got on the new flight, the new plane that they brought in, I'm in 1F. Why is the wild man sitting right next to me? He gets on the plane. I go, shit. So, and he must have been drinking since the flight got delayed. So he's already on 10. And I go, there's no way this is happening. Because you got to keep in mind, I called 4 or 5 people that day at the airport telling them the story about the guy saying, F this, F this. And he was the guy that really should have got taken off the plane for not listening to the flight attendant in the first place. So now he's lit. He goes, can I get a scotch? And the flight attendant goes, as soon as we take off, sir, I can get you a scotch, whatever you want to drink. And he just sat there for a minute. He goes, excuse me, you think I can get a scotch now? And she goes, I'm not allowed to serve alcohol until we're in the air. He goes, that's not true. I've gotten liquor before. I've gotten liquor before we're taking off. I've gotten drinks on this airline before we're taking off. And the flight attendant goes, sir, I'm not saying that didn't happen. I'm just saying I've been trained that you don't serve alcohol until we're in the air. He goes, oh, you just do you then. You do you. And then every time she walked by, he had a smart remark towards her. Pilot steps off. He's like, sir, we're going to have a problem. And I could tell the pilot wanted to kick him off. He goes, I don't want a problem, sir. I will kick you off this plane. You will be banned. I don't want no problems. He goes, there's not going to be no problems. He goes, well, you're giving our flight attendant a hard time. She said you were rude to her. He goes, I was not rude. I just wanted a drink. And then he was like, you know, I was just supposed to leave at 9:30. And the pilot looked at me, and I just kind of looked like, man, I'd be thrilled if you kicked him off. So they let him stay. By the skin of his teeth, they let him stay. He has 2 scotches while we're in the air. And he keeps trying to look at me like I'm going to co-sign or I want to have a conversation with him. I have my earbuds in. I'm looking out the window, and I was watching a movie. So I was like, I ain't got time. I'm not on your side. I'm not with you on this. So now we're in the air. He passes out, goes to sleep. Pilot gets on. We got bad weather in Houston. We're getting rerouted to Shreveport. I'm like, this is the flight day from hell. This is the longest flight day ever. So you hear the whole plane just go, oh. He's asleep. When we land, he thinks we're in Houston. So when he wakes up, we're in Shreveport, Louisiana. He looks around. He goes, where we at? And the guy next to him goes, we're in Shreveport, weather. So I'm in 1F, he's in 1D. He punches the wall. We got that little wall in front of the little bathroom. He goes, oh, boom. I'm going, there's no way this guy just punched the wall. So now pilot gets on. Yeah, there's bad weather in Houston. We're delayed. The good thing is we were one of the first people to land in Shreveport, as you can see, and there was a line of planes. Everybody got rerouted. So he goes, I don't want to pull into the gate and let you guys off, because if we do that, if weather clears, then we're going to go to the back of the line. As it is, as soon as the weather clears, we're going to be one of the first planes to take off. So he goes, I don't know how long we're going to be here, but the seatbelt sign is off. You guys can use the bathroom, and I'll let you know when we're going to take off. So we're just sitting there. The guy sees the flight attendant, and he goes, can I get some water? And she goes, sure. And he goes, yeah. As the flight attendant said, sure, she's going to get his water. Now he's looking around for people to co-sign with him. He goes, I'm not trying to be an asshole here. I just want a little service. Can we get a little service? And then I'm like, oh, my God, dude. So now we finally take off. And he's trying to tell people, we're going to be stuck here. There's no way we're taking off tonight. It's too late. And then we end up taking off. We land in Houston around 11:15 or something like that. Before we take off from Shreveport to Houston, he's on the phone with United. And I can hear him saying, so what time does my flight to San Antonio take off? And they was like 11:40 or something. I could hear the lady on their line because now I got my earbud out and I'm just listening to this whole conversation. He goes, so what time will I land in San Antonio? 12:34. And then he was like, so I'm going to make my flight. And I guess all the flights were delayed out of Houston. So now, because ours was delayed coming in, his flight couldn't take off. So he's going to be able to make his flight. So he's like, so I'm going to land in San Antonio at 12:34 tonight. I was supposed to land at like 11:30 a.m. And I'm like, they know that. So then he's like, well, God bless you. God bless you then. I was like, I think he wanted bad news. He wanted United to be like, you're not going to make your flight, but they said you are going to make your flight. So now he's mad at the landing when they're going to land at 12:34. We're getting off the plane. Now we land in Houston. We're getting off the plane, and the guy looks at the flight attendant and gives her the bird like this, like right at her nose, like flicked her off. And I was like, and she goes, oh. And I just looked at her. I said, I am so sorry that just happened to you. I was just like, What an I hope they found out. I hope she went to the pilot, and I really hope that they stopped him from getting on that plane to San Antonio. And I hope that guy got banned. So to the flight attendant, I'm sorry if you watch or hear this podcast. And I think what pissed me off and I almost became a Karen was the fact that they let you get on the flight. They could have kept your ass in Birmingham. They let you stay on, and your thank you was to flick the flight attendant off for not giving you a scotch. I was like, get a private jet if you don't want to deal. If you fly enough, shit's gonna happen. That's what I've learned. And just be nice. Just be nice to the flight attendants. Be nice to the ticket agents because it's not their fault. And I'll tell you this, you get way more better customer service, and you get a lot more perks, and you got people looking out for you. If you're just nice and you just make a joke. I've been late for flights, and I got up there, and they go, oh, the flight took off. And it was completely my fault. And I remember sometimes I'll get sarcastic. I go, why didn't you hold it? You know I'm more important than everybody else. And they'll look at me, and I'll just start laughing. I go, all right, what's my next flight? If you can just disarm them and then say, like, I always say the most ridiculous shit that when people are upset, that's really what they're feeling. Why didn't you hold the flight? You know I'm the most important person on the planet. I mean, you knew I was on a plane. You know, if anybody's flying and your flight's delayed or you miss it because you're late or anything, just be cool. I'm telling you, those ticket agents, flight attendants, anybody at TSA, the people at not just the ticket agent at the gate, the ticket agent when you first walk in the airport. If you're cool, believe me, they'll work with you because they're dealing with people thinking, oh, it's always the airline's fault every time. And it's always funny, like, I'll never fly them again. I'm like, yeah, you will. Yeah, you will. Come on now. There's only so many options you can fly domestically. So that was my Monday going into Tuesday, getting back from Birmingham to Houston. Oh, that was a long day. I left my hotel at 7:30 in the morning, and I got home like a little after 1 a.m. On what is an hour and a half flight, less than 2 hours. What are you going to do? You're just stuck. It went from maintenance to weather. It happens. Then you can do about it. So that was my horror story with the airlines. The story that I read about, and I want your guys' opinion on this, and I have my own opinion. So the only story I heard through the headlines, and this is why it's clickbait stuff, man leaves wife at airport because she went to Starbucks like 15, 20 minutes before the flight was going to take off. So now I read the whole story, and I want you guys' opinion. I'll tell you mine. Here's the whole story. Man sparks debate after boarding plane without wife after she went to Starbucks. A husband and a father was forced to make a snap decision after his wife made a last-minute trip to Starbucks as they were boarding a flight. So this article says, this is from Tyla, Tyla. We all know how it feels when you're in a desperate need for a quick caffeine fix or a sweet snack, but one man has started a debate after he left his wife behind at the airport after she stopped at Starbucks. The 47-year-old man who lives in the Pacific Northwest, we're guessing Seattle or Portland, was en route to visit his 21-year-old daughter at her college on the East Coast. His wife, 43, I'm not sure what the age has to do with anything. So he decided at her college on the East Coast with his wife, 43 years old. He decided to share his side of the story on Reddit's I Am an A-Hole thread and gave his family the code name Jess and Meg. So this is what the guy says. Let me start by saying that traveling with my wife is not a great experience. I'm a very type A, like I have everything organized. I make sure that we get there where we need to be early, especially when traveling. My wife is the opposite. Very go with the flow. We will get there when we get there. I do my best to meet in the middle when not traveling by plane. The disgruntled husband recalled a separate incident when they were going to visit their daughter for a parents' weekend at her college to provide some backstory. Our flight was at 10 a.m. Our flight isn't huge, but not a tiny airport either. I told my wife that we need to be at the airport 90 minutes early, and we live about 30 minutes away. This being said, I want to leave at the very latest by 8 since we would also need to park and walk a little bit. Of course, I got up at 6 to make sure everything was ready and accounted for. His wife doesn't like to get up early. According to him, it took 5 attempts to wake her up. She eventually woke up at 7:40. God dang. She then went to make coffee, shower, and eat a bowl of cereal with the man saying, let's just say we didn't leave the house until 9. It ended up being a busier day at the airport than normal, and it took long enough to get through security that we missed our flight. The airline refused to refund their ticket, and the parents were forced to get new tickets the next day, leaving Jess feeling disappointed. Fast forward to the most recent occasion, when he and his wife were returning to see Jess to help her move. That's the daughter at college. This time the journey involved 2 flights. They landed at their connecting city with about 25 minutes to start boarding the next plane. We had to take multiple rails to get where we wanted to get to our terminal, he said. We got to our terminal. We had about 15 minutes until our plane was set to board. My wife tells me she wants to get coffee. There was a little market next to our terminal that sold hot food and coffee. I asked her if she wanted me to grab it for her. No, I want Starbucks, she said. Well, and let me tell you something. I ain't ever been to the airport at any point in my life where the Starbucks line was short. If you want to find a long line, find an airport and find a Starbucks. I don't care if it's 4:30 in the morning. It's like they hire people to stand in line. I ain't ever seen a Starbucks empty at an airport. Well, Starbucks was a rail ride away and a little bit of a walk. I told her we couldn't do that. We don't have enough time. But the wife went off to get her coffee, promising she'll be back in time. Obviously, that wasn't the case. After the man tried to call her several times, as they call boarding groups, he was forced to make a decision. I tried to plead with her to wait a couple minutes, but she insisted that she couldn't, so I boarded the plane. He had to tell his wife to buy a new ticket, and he meet her at their daughter's. She got to Jess to school and seemed unbothered by the whole situation, didn't really want to talk about it, he said. I thought maybe she realized it was her fault and just wanted to drop it. Boy, was I wrong. We are now home, and she hasn't talked to me since the trip over a week ago and is insisting that I am an a-hole. So am I the a-hole? And the thread sparked a huge debate on timekeeping. One Reddit user replied, she is causing you tremendous stress and she doesn't care at all. That is telling. So what if you have to wait a few minutes at the gate? That's the least she can do, not to cause you very reasonably that's the least she can do, not to cause you to be very reasonably stressed out. She owes you a big apology for the lack of consideration and the petulant follow-up. Another agrees. She's disrespectful of other people's time. She believes that everyone should and can wait for her, and she makes no efforts to make deadlines or change her mind when she is right. While a third person said your wife is very selfish. Imagine missing time with your child because you thought coffee was more important. Is it her child? Hold on. Let me go back. I wonder if it's not her child. That's very telling. Let me say we're traveling with girls. He began very tight. So I heard it's not her kid. It's his kid. Let me see if I can find another. Okay, BuzzFeed. Decided to board without her. Here's what people are signing with the husband. I guess it really doesn't. I'm guessing this isn't her daughter. His daughter is currently his daughter. So it's not her daughter, for one. I'm thinking my ex-wife would have been livid. Here's the thing. Yeah, the wife is completely wrong in this. I think he was right in leaving, especially if he's going to see his daughter. It'd be different if they were going on a vacation. Because here's the thing. This man is in a no-win situation. Because if he doesn't board the flight, his daughter's upset and disappointed. If he does board the flight, his wife's going to be mad at him. So you got to realize there's no gray area here. If he would have said, yeah, we got time, go to Starbucks, then he's at fault. But the fact that he told her, don't leave, we don't have enough time, and you got on another rail to go to another terminal, and in the end, it's a freaking cup of coffee. Let's put it into perspective here. The man is going to see his daughter at her college, and the wife's completely wrong here. I don't see any two sides of this story. The wife's just completely wrong. You can't disappoint your daughter because of that. And she still got there. And it's her own fault. So, yeah, I'm anxious to see what you guys say about this. But I think a lot of it has to do with there's a history here. And my suggestion to these two, don't fly together. Go on vacation, take separate flights. So that'd be my suggestion. Yeah, that was very selfish on her part. Very selfish, actually. So, how are you mad at him? Because he left you. Huh. Interesting. Some people, I'll tell you what. So, anyways, yeah, I thought that was an interesting article. And I think that all has to do with that's not his daughter. That's not her daughter. So she doesn't have the same connection. We always like to think like step parents, we treat everybody the same. Yeah, it doesn't mean you got to treat the kid bad, but the love and the connection is different between a parent and a step parent. I'll tell you that. It's just something it just is what it is. You know, having stepchildren and having my own kids, the connection is different. It don't mean you don't love them. It don't mean you wouldn't do anything for them, but it is different. And especially in this situation, this woman's like, that ain't my daughter. I don't have that connection. I can almost guarantee if it was her biological son or daughter, she wouldn't have got that coffee. That's what I'm saying. So, yeah, she was completely wrong in this. You might want to reevaluate the relationship. Honestly, I'm not saying break up, but I'm saying there has to be definitely some conversations and some open dialogue here if she's mad at you for leaving her when she went to Starbucks. Selfish. Everybody knows Starbucks ain't no such thing as no line. That thing, you got 15 minutes, but you got to go to Starbucks when you got at least an hour before it's time to leave. Yeah, she was wrong on that. So, the other thing I want to touch on is there's been a lot of conversation about Caitlyn Clark these last couple weeks. She was left off the Olympic team. I think the media isn't doing a fair job to the public. They're gaslighting us into thinking she's getting mistreated by the other players, everything else. It's like, no. You come in as a rookie, you're going to get tested. And people are going to go at her because they want to let her know, look, this ain't college. This ain't Iowa. You with the big girls now. She's going to get shit talked to her. No different than anybody else. But she's drawing eyeballs, and she's doing more for the women's game than any woman at any point in history. Doesn't mean she's the greatest player ever. As of now, she still has – I mean, she's a rookie. She's still got years to play. But the Olympic team is the big debate. Should she have been on it? Now, I do understand. I saw I think it was Rebecca Lobo or somebody was breaking it down how the girls selected for the Olympic team, they've been doing like international games, tryouts, practicing together for like the last couple years. And they've been like slowly weeding it down till they got 12 girls that are going to be on the team. So in that instance, I understand it. But I also know that if you put Caitlyn Clark on the Olympic team, I guarantee you more people are watching the women's than the men's during the Olympics this year in Paris. Some people are just an anomaly. It goes back to, but these are the rules. You got to earn your stripes. You got to pay your dues. That all sounds good, but it reminds me of when Jimmy Johnson was the coach of the Cowboys, and he had some rookie fall asleep in team meetings, and he cut him. And a reporter said, if Emmitt Smith would have fell asleep, would you have cut him? Jimmy Johnson said, I would have gave Emmitt Smith a pillow if he would have fell asleep. I go, the rules don't apply for everybody. And as much money as she's generating for the WNBA and as many eyeballs, you can go off attendance. Her attendance is through the roof when she goes to the game. I want to see her play. I want to go to a game if Caitlyn Clark's playing. It's just some people grab the public's attention, and it's usually the type of players that grabs your attention is like a Steph Curry, a Trae Young. I'm thinking people in college that grabbed your attention because they're small. Listen, with Caitlyn Clark, race has a big thing to do with it. Not only is she white, she's white and played at Iowa. That's super, super white. It's kind of like the Tiger Woods effect. Tiger Woods, if he was white, would have been an amazing golf player, would have got all this buzz about him and everything else. but not to the level that he got because he was black, because it's just it's a race thing on some of this. Doesn't mean it's bad, but let's acknowledge that race has something to do with it. With Caitlyn Clark, I go, you're seeing her dropping 33-foot threes and carrying a team that probably would have just barely made the NCAA tournament if she wasn't on it. And she got them all the way to the NCAA finals. And don't get it twisted, it was 90% because of her. She made everybody better around her. And it's just like, I would have put her on the Olympic team. I would have been like, I would have put all the girls aside as the Olympic coach, as the other players. Like, look, we're gonna embrace her. We're gonna bring her in. She's gonna make us a lot of money. She's gonna make here's my thing. Everybody, WNBA, they want this equal pay, which they're never gonna get with the NBA. Let's stop. But they want to get paid more. They want to be treated better. You have a cash cow right now. You got a girl that can do all that. She can up everybody's pay. People are watching WNBA at a rate. They're sometimes the lead story on ESPN, which has never been the case. You finally get it, and you don't put on an Olympic team. I say you make a rule just to have a 13th player, and you just say if somebody else comes along that's selling out and you're moving games to bigger arenas because you don't have the capacity to fill the gym you're playing in. Yeah, there's always exceptions to the rule. There's no like, this is how it is. It's black and white. It's done. You always make adjustments. Reggie Bush just got his Heisman back. So I would have put her on the team, and I just think they missed a golden opportunity to it would have probably been the most watched women's Olympic game ever. We'll see what the ratings are. It'll be decent, but it ain't going to be what it would if she would have been on the team. I just think they're biting the hand that feeds them. And you got it's no different when I'm going back to Tiger Woods here, because that's what it reminds me of. Caitlyn Clark has a Tiger Woods effect because race has something to do with it. I'll never forget when Tiger Woods got in all the trouble with his wife and everything, and a lot of those golfers, who I think are complete hypocrites, was coming at Tiger. And John Daly, of all people, was like, look, I want Tiger out there because when he plays, everybody makes more money. And the endorsements are higher. The final payout's higher for first place. He goes, when Tiger's playing, all of us make more money. Right now, Scottie Scheffler in golf is on a run similar to Tiger's in a shorter amount of time. We know about it, but it ain't the lead story. Why? Because he's a white dude. And 98% of golfers are white. So it's just like, we've seen it, a good white golfer. You know what I mean? Let me tell you, if Scottie Scheffler was black, it'd be top of the news on ESPN every week because he's on such an amazing run. And he got in trouble with the cops and everything. That just kind of went away. You know what I mean? So, hold on. Let me see what kind of run Scottie Scheffler's on. And they're not even talking about it. I mean, they're talking about it, but it's not the lead story on SportsCenter. How many times was Tiger Woods a lead story? I mean, he's crushing right now. First in the PGA Tour World Ranking. He's won like 5 events in a row. But he's a white dude. So it's just like, we've seen this before. So let's just acknowledge that race is a part of it. And it's not the only thing, but it's right. And I heard Angel Reese say, we're going to look back, they're going to look back, and I changed the game too. I go, you're great. You're cool. And I'm not hating on Angel Reese right here, but to say you are the reason people are watching, it's not the same. Like, if Angel Reese is playing and Caitlyn Clark wasn't in these NCAA tournaments, we're not going nuts. Like, but if Caitlyn Clark's playing and Angel Reese doesn't, we're still going nuts because of Caitlyn Clark. So, and this isn't to diminish Angel Reese or accomplishments or anything else, but let's put everything into perspective. Historically speaking, there's never been anybody like Caitlyn Clark up to this point. And race has something to do with it. But it's not the only thing. It's like I said, like when Trae Young was at Oklahoma and Steph Curry's at Davidson, they were little guys averaging 30 points a game, shooting threes from the logo. And that's why we watched. Something about them, the three-point shooters, man. Either only thing that really gets you buzzed is to be a big man. How about Yao Ming? Yao Ming got a lot of buzz because he was Chinese. I mean, yeah, he was big. He was number one pick and everything, but there's a lot of number one picks you don't remember. But Yao Ming had buzz because of his race, because of his culture. That's why. Yao Ming would have been cool as the number one pick, but it would have been a buzz. But he was coming from China. Nobody had seen this before. It was the first of it. So, yeah, I think they missed a golden opportunity here on the female Olympic team to put her on. And I know she hasn't earned it and everything else, but if this is a Dallas game, you put her on the team. That's the bottom line. And she can play with these girls. She's not a scrub. You know, I don't think she's one of the top players in the NBA right now, but she is going for 30. She is still shooting from the logo, and that's exciting to watch. She can miss 8 shots, but she hits that 1-3. You're like, oh, shit. So I think WNBA missed the mark on this one. You had a chance to probably could have been the most watched event at the Olympics, honestly, with Caitlyn Clark. Can you imagine if she would have went and then started balling with these girls? Oh, my God, dude. Then it's game over right there. So anyways, that's enough about that. Anyway, this weekend, I hope everybody has a great Father's Day. I'm in Chicago at the Improv in Schaumburg, and then next week I'm in Oklahoma City at Bricktown, and then we're end of the month in Miami at the Improv. So enough about that. All right, y'all. We'll see you next week. I'm Gary Owen. Hopefully my flight doesn't get delayed when I'm flying from Chicago this week. I'll talk to you later.